We'll start this morning with some big breaking news, positive news for Arsenal.
Arsenal's unveiling of Julian Álvarez was never going to be routine, but what unfolded at his first press conference went far beyond the usual choreography of smiles, scarves, and polite sound bites. It felt less like an introduction and more like a manifesto. In front of the cameras, Álvarez did not simply announce his arrival, he challenged the identity of the league he is entering and the expectations surrounding the club he has chosen. This was not the voice of a player easing into a new environment. It was the voice of someone intent on reshaping it. From his opening remarks, Álvarez dismissed the comfort of gradual adaptation. He spoke with urgency, as though time itself were a luxury Arsenal no longer need to afford. The Premier League, he suggested, is not something to be studied from a distance but confronted head-on. Arsenal, in his eyes, are not a project nearing completion, they are a force overdue for fulfillment. That distinction matters. For years, Arsenal have been praised for progress, admired for style, and respected for youth. Yet praise has often arrived hand in hand with consolation. Álvarez's words cut through that sentiment with surgical precision. Progress without trophies, he implied, is not a destination but a delay. What made his statement so arresting was not volume or bravado, but conviction. He spoke of winning as a responsibility rather than an aspiration. Winning, to him, is not an outcome you chase, it is a standard you enforce. This perspective reframes Arsenal's recent history. Near misses are no longer proof of growth, but evidence of unfinished business. There was an unmistakable edge to the way Álvarez addressed pressure. Where many players speak of it cautiously, he embraced it as proof of relevance. Pressure, he argued, only exists at clubs that matter. In doing so, he reframed Arsenal's expectations not as a burden, but as validation. To feel pressure is to be alive in elite football, to avoid it is to accept insignificance. This mindset strikes at the heart of what Arsenal have been striving to become under Mikel Arteta. A team capable of playing beautifully, yes, but also one capable of surviving chaos. Álvarez spoke repeatedly about the moments football rarely romanticizes, the final 10 minutes, the hostile away grounds, the games where elegance gives way to endurance. It is in those moments, he suggested, that titles are truly decided. His comments inevitably turned attention to Arteta, whose influence loomed over the entire press conference. Álvarez described conversations that extended far beyond tactics and positioning. They spoke about mentality, sacrifice, and the refusal to accept comfort. Arteta's Arsenal, according to Álvarez, are being built to suffer intelligently to remain functional when plans collapse and emotions spike. That insight felt particularly revealing. Arsenal's recent shortcomings have rarely been about quality. Instead, they have emerged at the intersection of expectation and adversity, moments when belief wavered just enough to be punished. Álvarez's arrival appears aimed directly at that fault line. Perhaps the most thought-provoking moment came when Álvarez spoke about fear, not the fear of failure, but the fear of wasting potential. He suggested that talented teams risk becoming footnotes if ambition is not paired with ruthlessness. Arsenal, he implied, stand at such a crossroads. With a squad rich in youth and energy, the danger is not falling short, but growing accustomed to falling short. His solution was unapologetically direct. Refuse comfort. Chase discomfort. Demand accountability in moments when silence is easier. These are not ideas typically voiced at unveilings, but they resonated precisely because they echoed a frustration long felt by supporters. For Arsenal fans, this press conference struck a nerve. This is a fan base that has endured rebuilds, resets, and repeated calls for patience. Álvarez did not ask for patience. He asked for belief and responsibility. In doing so, he aligned himself not with nostalgia or promises, but with urgency. There is, of course, a risk embedded in such candor. Football is unforgiving, and bold words are never forgotten. Statements are archived, replayed, and weaponized when results falter. Álvarez understands this. Yet that awareness seemed to fuel him rather than restrain him. By speaking so openly, he has placed himself squarely in the line of accountability. That, perhaps, is what makes this moment feel significant. Arsenal have spent years managing narratives, cushioning expectations, and reframing disappointment as development. Álvarez's presence threatens that equilibrium. He does not speak like a player content to blend into a collective. He speaks like someone intent on becoming a reference point, the standard others are measured against when games tighten and excuses fade. His arrival also shifts the internal dynamics of the squad. Bold statements do not exist in isolation, they reverberate. Teammates hear them. Rivals note them. The dressing room absorbs them. In that sense, Álvarez's press conference was not addressed to the media alone, but to everyone connected to Arsenal's ambitions. What he represents is not just another attacking option, but a mentality injection. A reminder that elite football is not decided by potential, but by decisions often made under exhaustion, scrutiny, and doubt. Arsenal's challenge has never been about belief in ability, it has been about belief under pressure. Álvarez seems determined to confront that challenge head-on. Whether this moment becomes the beginning of something historic or simply another chapter in Arsenal's long pursuit of completion will depend on results. But one thing is already clear, Julian Álvarez has not arrived quietly. He has arrived with intent, and in a league defined by margins and memory, intent can be just as dangerous as talent. If Arsenal succeed, these words will be remembered as a warning ignored by rivals. If they fail, they will be replayed as evidence of ambition unmet. Either way, Álvarez has drawn a line between almost and inevitable and dared Arsenal to step across it.